Project A1119 is a go. We must strike the moon.
The secret US plan to detonate a nuclear bomb on the moon. The Cold War produced some strange ideas. Governments spent billions building missiles, spies crossed continents in secret, and the world's most powerful nations raced to prove who had the better technology. Then, in the late 1950s, the United States quietly studied a plan that sounded more like science fiction than military strategy, detonating a nuclear bomb on the moon. The proposal was real, the calculations were real, and serious scientists were involved. But how did one of the most powerful countries on Earth arrive at such an extraordinary idea? And what stopped it from actually happening? Well, here is the full story. The Cold War idea that sounds fake. At some point in the late 1950s, while the world was already busy trying not to turn itself into a glowing ashtray, the United States Air Force began studying an idea that sounds like it escaped from a very dramatic comic book: send a nuclear weapon to the moon and detonate it there. The project had a strangely harmless official title: A Study of Lunar Research Flights, which sounds less like a nuclear proposal and more like something a school science club would print on a folder. It later became known as Project A119, and despite how ridiculous it sounds at first, this was a real study backed by serious people during a very serious moment in history. The point was not to crack the moon open or change its orbit, because thankfully the planners had not fully entered cartoon villain territory. The idea was to create a visible nuclear flash on or near the lunar surface, something people on Earth might be able to see. In Cold War logic, that mattered. If the world could see America reach the moon with a nuclear weapon, then the message was obvious: American technology could reach almost anywhere. And that's what makes the plan so strange. It was less about the moon itself and more about everyone looking at the moon. The lunar surface became a stage, the bomb became the spotlight, and the audience was basically the entire planet. Subtlety, as you can tell, had taken the day off. Still, this was not some random idea scribbled during a long lunch break at the Pentagon. Scientists were asked to study it, calculations were made, reports were written. People with titles, budget, and access to classified information treated the proposal seriously enough to examine whether it could work. Which raises the real question: what was happening in America that made detonating a nuclear bomb on the moon sound like a reasonable thing to investigate? Sputnik made America look weak. You see, the reason Project A119 even had oxygen begins with a small metal sphere about the size of a beach ball. On October 4th, 1957, the Soviet Union launched Sputnik 1 into orbit, and for Americans, the sound of that little satellite beeping above Earth was not exactly relaxing background music. It was the Cold War equivalent of hearing your rival unlock a new level while you're still reading the instruction manual. Sputnik was the first artificial satellite ever placed in orbit, and its success shocked many people in the United States. America had expected to lead the world in science and technology after World War II, so seeing the Soviet Union reach space first was deeply embarrassing. More importantly, the rocket that carried Sputnik into orbit also raised a much darker concern. If the Soviets could launch a satellite over the planet, then people naturally wondered what else those rockets could carry. A scientific achievement quickly became a military nightmare with better lighting. This is where the space race became more than a race to explore. It became a contest of prestige, fear, and national survival. Every Soviet success seemed to suggest that Moscow had better rockets, better engineers, and a better path into the future. That was a terrible look for a country that had built much of its post-war identity around being the strongest technological power on Earth. American leaders now had to respond, and ordinary speeches were not going to erase the image of Sputnik circling overhead. The United States needed something dramatic, something that it could show the world that it had not fallen behind. In that atmosphere, the moon suddenly became more than a distant object in the night sky. It became the largest possible stage for a message. So, once the idea reached the stage where someone had to work out the details, it moved into the hands of people who knew the moon as more than a glowing circle in the sky. The scientists asked to study the impossible. The US Air Force supported the study through the Armor Research Foundation at the Illinois Institute of Technology, and the project was led by physicist Leonard Reifel. So yes, the plan had paperwork, researchers, calculations, and all the usual signs that a strange government idea had successfully found an office. Reifel's team was asked to study whether a nuclear explosion on the moon could be seen from Earth, what it might do to the lunar surface, and whether the event could offer any scientific value. This is where the proposal became more complicated than simply pointing a rocket upward and hoping the moon was in a cooperative mood. The team had to think about vacuum, low gravity, dust behaviour, brightness, visibility, and the difference between an impressive flash and a very expensive disappointment. Among the people connected to the research was a young Carl Sagan, years before he became one of the most famous science communicators in the world. His role reportedly involved calculations related to how a dust cloud would expand around the moon after the detonation. That mattered because the visibility of the blast depended heavily on whether the explosion could lift enough lunar dust into sunlight for observers on Earth to notice. And this detail is what makes the story even stranger. The plan was outrageous, but the work around it was serious. Scientists were not being asked to write a dramatic headline. They were being asked to calculate whether physics would allow that headline to happen. By this point, Project A119 had moved from Cold War theatre into technical reality. The question was no longer just whether America wanted to make a statement. The question became whether a rocket, a warhead, and the laws of physics could all be persuaded to cooperate. Once the scientists had worked out that visibility mattered, the next problem was choosing the actual weapon. And this is where the plan becomes a little less like a giant movie explosion and a little more like a very grim packing problem. The bomb was smaller than people expect. You see, the United States could not simply pick the largest nuclear device available and send it toward the moon, because rockets in the late 1950s had limits, very annoying limits, especially for anyone trying to deliver a nuclear message to a rock nearly 240,000 miles away. A hydrogen bomb was considered, but the Air Force rejected that idea because the device would have been too heavy for the missile system involved. So the plan shifted toward a smaller nuclear warhead called the W-25. This was a lightweight weapon with a yield of about 1.7 kilotons, far smaller than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, which had a yield of roughly 13 to 18 kilotons. So yes, even the plan to nuke the moon had a budget version, which is a sentence that should never have needed to exist. The W-25 would have been carried by a rocket toward the shadowed side of the moon, close to the area where sunlight could catch the dust thrown up by the blast. The weapon was expected to detonate on impact. The main visual effect would not come from a giant fireball, because there is no atmosphere on the moon to support the kind of explosion people usually imagine. The important part was the dust cloud, which sunlight could illuminate against the darker lunar surface. That detail matters because the whole project depended on people seeing proof. A silent explosion on a distant surface would achieve very little if nobody noticed. The goal was a visible signal, not a lunar destruction. By this point, the plan had a target, a proposed weapon, and a possible delivery method. The uncomfortable question now became what might happen if any part of that delivery went wrong. The big problem. By the time Project A119 had a proposed weapon and a possible target, the idea had moved from strange to genuinely risky. Sending a nuclear device to the moon required confidence in rocket technology, guidance systems, launch safety, and timing. In the late 1950s, that confidence came with a very large asterisk attached. Early spaceflight was still a messy business. Rockets failed, test launches exploded, and guidance systems missed. Engineers were learning at incredible speed, which is impressive until the object being launched contains a nuclear warhead. At that point, learning experience becomes a phrase nobody wants to hear from the launch team. The most obvious danger was a failed launch. If the rocket exploded shortly after takeoff, or failed during ascent, the nuclear device could fall back toward Earth. Even without a nuclear detonation, that would create a political and environmental disaster. The United States was trying to prove it had calm control over advanced technology, so accidentally scattering radioactive material because a moon stunt went wrong would have delivered a slightly different message. There was also the question of what the explosion might do to the moon itself. Scientists were becoming more interested in the moon as a place to study, not just a symbol to be used in Cold War theatre. Contaminating the lunar surface with radioactive material could damage future research and make later missions more complicated. The moon had spent billions of years keeping its surface records intact, and then humans arrived with the subtle touch of a bar fight. The public reaction was another problem. A visible nuclear explosion on the moon might impress some people, but it could also frighten allies, anger neutral countries, and hand the Soviet Union a very useful propaganda gift. By now, the plan's greatest weakness was becoming clear. The same spectacle meant to show American strength could easily make America look reckless. So by 1959, Project A119 reached a point where the strangest part of the story was no longer that someone had suggested it. The strangest part was that the idea had survived long enough to be studied properly. The Air Force had its proposal, the scientists had done their work, and the moon had, through no fault of its own, been briefly considered for a nuclear demonstration. Then the plan was dropped. The reasons were practical, political, and surprisingly sensible, which is always nice to see after a government project spends several months asking whether the moon should be used as a target. The risks were too high, the benefits were uncertain, and the entire operation depended on everything going perfectly. A failed launch could embarrass the United States, a successful launch could frighten the world, and even if everything worked exactly as planned, America would still have to explain why it had chosen to answer Soviet space success by detonating a nuclear weapon in the sky. There was also a better option beginning to take shape. If the United States wanted to prove it could reach the moon, landing something there would say more than blowing something up there. And if it wanted to truly defeat the Soviets in the space race, landing human beings on the lunar surface would become the ultimate prize. A nuclear flash might create headlines for a few days. A human footprint would create history. That made Project A119 look less useful with time. It belonged to the early panic of the space race, when America was still searching for a dramatic answer to Sputnik. Once the goal shifted toward exploration and human achievement, nuking the moon started to look like the kind of idea best left inside a classified folder, where it could sit quietly and think about what it had done. So the project disappeared, at least officially. The moon survived, America moved on, and for decades almost nobody knew how close this strange little chapter had come to being part of Cold War history. But after Project A19 was cancelled, it did what many uncomfortable Cold War ideas did best. The secret stayed buried for decades. Interestingly, the project vanished into classified files and stayed there quietly, away from public attention, newspaper headlines, and anyone who might have asked the very fair question of why the moon had briefly been placed on America's nuclear to-do list. For decades, the public knew almost nothing about it. The space race moved on. NASA became the face of American space ambition, and the story people remembered was full of astronauts, rockets, capsules, and eventually a flag on the lunar surface. Project A119 did not fit neatly into that heroic version of events. It belonged to the stranger, more nervous period before Apollo, when the United States was still searching for a way to answer Soviet success with something big enough to calm national embarrassment. The project only became widely known much later, mainly after Leonard Reifel, the physicist who led the study, spoke publicly about it around the year 2000. His comments pulled the story out of Cold War fog and into the category of history that sounds fake until people realised the paperwork was real. Reifel explained that the Air Force had seriously studied the idea, and that the project included calculations about how a nuclear explosion on the moon might appear from Earth. Carl Sagan's connection also helped draw attention to the story. Years before becoming the warm, poetic voice of popular science, Sagan had reportedly worked on calculations linked to the possible dust cloud from the blast. That detail gives the whole story a strange extra layer, because one of the men later known for helping people appreciate the universe had once been attached to a study about making part of it briefly explode for a political effect. Some records connected to the project were reportedly destroyed, so the full picture remains incomplete. Still, enough emerged to confirm the basic story. America considered nuking the moon, then buried the idea so deeply that it took decades for the world to find out. So, if Project A119 had actually gone ahead, would the world remember it as a brilliant Cold War victory, or one of the most reckless decisions ever made? Share your thoughts in the comments section below, leave a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos like this one.